Hello everyone, so what to talk about this, and it's very important, I think, even if you don't have a car, I think it's very important to talk about, because this was kind of snuck in the back door. I've been watching it sneak in the back door, unfortunately, the last few months and the last year or so, and unfortunately it's coming in. And this is to do with the European Union has basically mandated that every car, that new car that's produced now, should have a camera in it. And they say this is to do with distracting drivers, etc., to catch people that say are on their phones or not paying attention to the road or whatever the story may be, drinking or whatever. But the simple thing is, and I ask you the simple question, I ask everybody the simple question: can you trust the European Union? Because let's be fair, 1984 exists for a reason. The book 1984 exists for a reason, and that's to do with government control. Because we see the state and the institutions of the European Union, the institutions of the UN, etc., even Ireland, if so, the government of Ireland, they always want more. They always want more in society. This would have been unheard of 20 years ago. That the European Union is looking for this autonomy to tell you, what you in your own car, what you paid for, and you pay your taxes. So basically, Big Sister Ursula von der Leyen is watching you. I don't remember ever voting for Ursula von der Leyen, to be told. I don't remember ever voting for this. I do think it's important that people should have a say in this if it was going to go in, and it was snuck in the back door. There wasn't much debate about it. But it's very sinister stuff, and I know they're saying, oh, it's for the common good. But what's the common good? Who's the common good? This is what they usually would tell you. But let's be fair, this is all just another part of the 1984 agenda, pretty much, because they don't watch their own anything. They watch you to be watched. The cameras everywhere, digital IDs. It seems to nearly be all connected, to be done. I hate to sound like a conspiracy theory, but the majority of conspiracy theories nowadays seem to come true. But the simple reality is that nobody was consulted about. There was no discussion had in the Irish Parliament or Ireland or in the European Union. There was no discussion. This was just all sham through the back door for the last year or so. But I would extremely object to this because I don't think it's right. Because nobody was. This is a democracy. There's no votes in this. And people pay for their car, they pay their tax, their insurance, etc. They don't want the government fucking telling them what to do, or the European Union telling them what to do. Because we have borders that are wide open across the West, and the European Union doesn't want to know anything about that, but they're more worried about what's going on in your car, etc. Because at the end of the day, people are entitled to the privacy. Now, I know people be on their phones and stuff, I get that, but that's up to the Gardaí to do it. That's not up to Big Sister Ursula von der Leyen to look after you. Because at the end of the day, if you want to take your life into your own hands, that's your own business. At the end of the day, that's your consequence. You face the consequences for that. But the simple thing is that you cannot just say, oh, we're going to do this because, we stop a few people maybe on their phones, etc. We're doing it for the common good. But at the end of the day, people are entitled to their privacy. People are entitled to they own their car. This is the thing. And nearly with this too, with the camera, you don't own your car. The European Union owns your car, basically, because they can watch what you do. And probably maybe even control the car, so who knows? Because let's be fair, can you trust the European Union? I think majority of people can say no. Because this is not what people want. People want lower rents. People want lower prices of food. People don't want to be fucking spied on. They want to be able to survive in life, to move on, like to achieve stuff in life. But the European Union's more worried about being 1984, watching everything you do. Why is this? Why is that? What is the European Union's goal here? What are they trying to achieve? That's what we need to ask the questions. But they won't be answered, unfortunately. But the simple thing is, this shouldn't happen. Simple that the Irish government should say utterly no. But of course they won't. Not many governments would tell them to go fuck themselves. Excuse my language, but yeah, that's pretty much what should be told to the European Union with these cameras. To go and shove them somewhere where the sun doesn't shine. But yeah, no, it's utterly ridiculous in my opinion. It's utterly ridiculous because it doesn't achieve anything. Because at the end of the day, if you employ more Gardaí in the roads policing unit, you catch these people on their phones. You catch these people distracted while driving. Having cameras and stuff like this is just it doesn't look good because we're supposed to be the beacon of the West, the free world. They do this in China, just to say. They do this in North Korea, but we're doing it in the West. Think about that for a moment, because this is supposed to be the beacon of freedom, democracy, etc. The people are the power, but I don't remember the people voting for this, but but yeah, the European our MPs in the European Parliament seem to be fucking asleep, to be totally honest. Regina Doherty, Nine Genders, etc. So nowhere to be found. Half of them, no one's able to be found in the European Parliament. None of our MEPs, they all seem to be falling asleep. Nowhere to be found. You think they'd be saying something, but they said nothing. They say nothing. But the simple thing is that we can't trust the European Union that they could add something else in along with the camera, like a kill switch or Take for example, you to stop your car. Take for example, if you're going over your emissions, and that's what I'm a fear for too. That they could say, "Oh, you drove too much today. You're not allowed to drive anymore. Walk home." Because let's be fair, we see with the cost of living, the cost of houses, etc. You own nothing and be happy about it. Because technically, you don't own your car when you have the state and the institution of the European Union in your car. You're watching what you're doing. You technically don't own your car because technically, when you own something, you own it. Nobody has a say in anything. But the European Union shouldn't have a say because again, you own the cow. Like it doesn't like you're wetting it off the European Union. But yeah, so pretty much you don't own your own car basically too, because the European Union has a say in it. Which is ridiculous. It's utterly ridiculous. It's something that Russia would do, to be told, in North Korea. And again, we hear the media, the Irish media, the mainstream media across the world, in the Western world particularly, saying about how terrible and stuff China is, and stuff. We're nearly becoming it, to be told, is the way this is going. But anyway, this is just my view, as I say. But I think the majority of people can see this is a load of bullshit. Because at the end of the day, people want lower grocery prices, people want lower electricity rates. They don't want this rubbish. And they should keep the rubbish. Simple as that, the European Union. Anyway, let me know what you think. Subscribe for more and bye.